Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan. My handle is Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios. As you can see, I'm a little bare on the wall today. There's a gap right here, and I almost lost one of the books down there, so I got to build an actual shelf before I put them back up. But that's been my big adventure for this week. How are you guys doing?
The word is sparse.
Sparse?
Sparse.
There's too many syllables for me. All right, we're going to start off with the big Kapla himself, Billy Bobsack. What have you been up to, man?
Kapla, 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 kapla.
All right. And Herman, Hedjo Doom Hunter.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much.
Hedge life. Yo.
Yep.
Word.
Got the waffle top pie there going on.
Yes. I am the pie.
You are the pie. The hedge pie.
You know, the sad part is people are going to come on this stream who have absolutely nothing about all these inside jokes.
Who's this pie guy?
What is this with the pie and the hedge thing? I don't get it.
He's hiding from Dean Winchester. James Esparza, how you been, man?
I am all right. I literally just finished work 10 seconds ago, and since I work from home, I can get here quite quickly from work.
Yeah, that does help with the commute.
Absolutely. So the commute was me getting up to the kitchen, grabbing something to drink, and coming back and sitting down. It was a lovely commute, really, but I didn't like the traffic too much. I'm doing all right. I need to get some writing done, maybe during the stream, maybe after the stream. Who knows? I've been at work all day since yesterday, working on what should have been a relatively simple project. It's kind of unfolding slowly, but I'm thinking I'm near the end, so I could finally work on the kind of work I want to work on, which is writing.
Sweet. Yeah, I was doing that myself. I got out of work, set up for the scheduled show, and then I was just kind of writing until the alarm went off.
There you go.
Read out. How you doing, man?
Oh, fighting off the general public. How is everybody else?
All right. How are things in the past doing lately?
Well, the past is a very dangerous place. You don't want to be there. Just as dangerous as the present.
But it could teach us so much.
It's true. It could teach us a lot. It's also very dangerous, especially when people don't understand about it. No, but what I've been up to, been working a lot lately, and then after hours, I've been editing a video project that has been almost a year I've been working on.
Oh,
the problem was, I'm going to make one video. Nah, that's got to be a two-parter. Nah, that's got to be a three-parter. Four-parter? So I think the first part should be out this week. I just got the rough draft of it done before coming on tonight.
Nice. Four-parter. Wow. I look forward to seeing this. This is going to be on your YouTube channel, right?
Yes. Maybe four-part. I'm hoping to keep it at free.
If it's anything like your Gettysburg video, I'm sure it'll be awesome.
It is completely something different. It is. This is why the algorithm doesn't like me, because I just throw curveballs like, oh, so he likes this certain topic. And then you just sometimes decide, I want to talk about a mystery flesh pit.
I'm not sure I want to know, but that's just, the bait is too good. Now it's like you just got to ask. Maybe we'll get into that later if you want to discuss it further. Maji.
Hello. How are you?
All right. How you doing?
I got off work. I'm sitting down. I'm doing great.
You're working at Foot Locker, right? You're at Foot Locker these days?
Davy Jones Locker.
I thought she worked in an HR department somewhere and her real name is Karen.
I'm pretty sure Billy Bobsack thinks my name is Karen.
Before he can answer, let's go check out the chat. What's up, guys? We got Stormcrow in first. How you doing?
Hey, Storm.
Also here tonight is Jersey. Jersey, how goes it? Followed up by Guilty Gearhead, who says, hello. Why did not go? Okay, there it is. Hello. Let's see. And Stormcrow, got a question. I got to remember to read his stuff before I put it on the screen. All right,
She is a dude. What the fuck are you talking about, King?
Yeah. Okay. It was addressed to read out. I'm going to leave that off screen for now. King Bob. He says, "You want to? Do I want to know? I don't know."
We need a button. Everybody who's in, whoever has a channel and related to the Drink with Crazy Gilded, we gotta have a button whenever King Bob shows up, and it's just Roy shouting "King Bob" because nobody else.
Yeah,
can do
no
it like that.
kidding.
King Bob!
Maybe I got to go look through
That's
some of
pretty
his
close.
past
That's pretty
streams and
close.
just clip him saying that, and we'll drop that into the audio with the
Hang
other
on.
nonsense
Let
I have down there.
Let me try it again. King Bob! Is that close?
No, that's the meme of no. We have that at home, honey. This is what we have at home.
All right.
And there he is. You coward. I think I've seen you say that before a time or two or 30.
You know what? For the sake of YouTube guidelines, yes, we are.
We
cowards.
have the channels. We decide what we say and don't say. Because if we say the wrong thing, then you don't get to hear us anymore.
We
You know what?
control the
You know what I'm going to
horizontal.
do? Well,
We
if I
control the
ever,
vertical. Go ahead.
if I ever reach the point where I'm just sick of this, it's like I don't even want to see the YouTube logo. I don't want to hear I'm done with YouTube. I'll just come in here one day, put Stormcrow on screen, and let him say whatever he wants and walk away.
This is my form of seppuku.
Yeah. He'd be like, "Hey, Stormcrow, I'm nuking my own channel tonight. Do as you will." That's funny.
not
'Cause I
allowed
was
to
thinking of
now.
retiring the name. Why do you want to retire the name, King Bob?
You gotta live it now. You gotta live the meme.
Says, "Thanks, Stormcrow. I'm touched. Hopefully he doesn't touch me too hard with them knuckles." Okay, I'll be here as much as I can, but I'm going to be busy with work crap. Yeah, I know how that is. Just like, what was it? There was a couple of you guys end up on stream sometimes, and I'm just listening from the car as I drive. So, Maji, you saw a movie this weekend.
I did. It was painful.
So, do you have
Do
stories
tell.
to tell from this trip?
I went and saw Pixar's newest Elemental. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
will not see The Flash. I refuse to see it. But so where do we begin? Okay. There was some pluses. The animation is absolutely gorgeous.
That's nice.
People put a lot of time into the animation. I mean, to the point where you could even see ripples in water. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
I don't know myself, but I've always heard, like in interviews and stuff, that water is like the toughest thing to deal with animations.
It is. A lot of times games crap out on it because of that.
It's why
Not
Cameron,
anymore, though.
It's why James Cameron had to do the water tube thing in the Abyss, because that was basically his test to see if he could do the T-1000, to see if he could do liquid, because it was the hardest thing.
Back in the day, these days, literally what in gaming perspective, what we've unlocked, I believe it was this year or last year, was essentially randomly generated. Like you can just drop the water into a location and it will generate physics based off of your meshes. And essentially what your mesh is every 3D object in your world. So it's just physics bound water.
I guess
is the
Blender's
latest
got a
video
pretty
game.
good water physics program.
It's pretty new. That's top of the line. That's what made Unreal Engine 5 so like through the roof when people were looking at it. One of the many reasons when it came out is because it had physics-based water, and it makes water a lot simpler, and a lot of other nerd shit that makes it a lot simpler that you're actually going to see in movies, and you have been seeing in movies and various
And
shows.
perhaps that's what Maji was seeing. Is that what you were seeing? Do you think they used Unreal Engine for that, or they got their own? Pixar's probably got their own stuff.
It's Disney, so they probably did, because if you've seen Disney actually talk about their like Disneymation or whatever, the way that they put screens up for the actors to see, and it's got like a broadcasted wall. I'm not sure if you've seen any of that, where it's like just
No.
CGI.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that is actually literally from Unreal Engine, 100%. Anybody who's actually kind of rendered anything or familiar with the way Unreal Engine's kind of rendering platform works, you can easily see the fingerprints of Unreal Engine all over Disney's new stuff. And why shouldn't they use it? Because Unreal Engine is free to use, primarily free to use for game design. I didn't see what their movie licensing is, but I couldn't imagine it's too different. But if you ever want to get into game design, it's free to use for you.
Cool. So Maji, as gorgeous as the animation was, it sounded like there was a butt coming for that.
All right, so I felt like there was two different stories going on. The one that they wanted to tell versus the ESG story.
The studio notes version.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
So have you guys ever seen The Good Dinosaur?
I have not.
Sorry, that movie didn't make money.
The first
Yeah.
mid Pixar film.
Yeah. Well, it kind of followed along the lines of Good Dinosaur, where it was what makes the perfect child, what makes the perfect son, or well, dinosaur was son, daughter was elemental. She was born in a immigration family. They built the shop. She was supposed to inherit the shop if she could learn to control her temper. Well, she could never learn to control her temper and couldn't figure out why. So I'm just telling you this part so that the other part could go. Warning, there's going to be a ton of spoilers, but in fact, only it made $29 million. I don't think anyone cares.
I don't think most of us are going to go see it. No, I don't think.
But,
If we would, we would have gone to already.
Anyway, so she gets, angry and all that, and she can't figure out why. And then it turns out she discovers she doesn't want to run the shop. But she doesn't have the heart to tell her dad because that was his dream, that the family shop was the dream. All right, now, part 2. Remember how I said that there's two different stories? Okay, go back to the fact that they are an immigration family. They took a lot of the Indian culture. I see a lot of Asian influence into the movie. But yeah, so they fuse in the immigration. Fire is what everybody's racist against.
Uh-huh.
Like, they even get into a fight banning a kid from going to see a flower because she could light it on fire.
Muy caliente.
The water guy, he is such a soy boy. Like, he cries for no reason, just for the sake of crying.
Ooh.
All the damn time. Luckily, it's not just him; it's his whole family.
So
But-
they're in a constant state of catharsis.
Oh, it gets worse. So there's constant racism in your face, constant stereotypes of immigrations. They even throw in a line that says, "Oh, you speak well." Yeah, I've been speaking like this my entire life. Because they indicate the fire has their own language, but they only use like one or two words in it. But of course, like I said, they're going with the stereotypes here.
So they pretty much had to shoehorn in every single phrase that could be taken in the worst faith way possible. That wasn't
Pretty
meant
much.
that way.
Oh, it gets worse. So the whole purpose that there's like this Romeo and Juliet, this love story between fire and water, and the whole reason why water came was because she got mad and blew up her dad's basement, which triggered the water pipes to break. Well, it's Firetown. Nobody can figure out why there's water in Firetown. So the city official says, "Hey, I won't shut down your dad's shop for violating these things if you figure out why there's water in Firetown, because we shut it off forever ago." Yeah, they have their own little segment in the city. That's how bad it is.
I
But,
am noticing problems with this plot.
Oh, lots of problems. But the whole Romeo and Juliet is, oh, we can't touch each other. We can't touch each other. We can't touch each other. We'll kill each other. Well,
Did they use a
they
condom?
touch each other and they make steam.
Maggie halfway through the story is going, touch each other and end this, please. So
So then it goes back to that the heartfelt story, the one that they wanted to tell. And she rejects him because her dad doesn't approve of, elements can't mix and whatnot. And it turns out she's really good at making glass, and he's trying to convince her not to run the shop, but go take an internship at a glass maker. And it, like I said, there was two very different stories being told at once. Unfortunately, all I saw was because okay, did you guys ever see Zootopia?
No.
no.
No. And
Sorry.
I have the same problem with Zootopia as I feel I have with Elementals by hearing both their plots.
Yeah. Well, they went as extreme in that as they did in Zootopia, as they did in Elemental in terms of the different races.
So Elemental is just Zootopia with
Elements.
elements instead of critters.
Kind
Okay.
of.
Oh, that's a shame.
But I mean, like I said, there was one part of the story you were kind of you could see they were wanting to tell, and then you could see the part where everybody threw in their other shit.
Yeah.
Does it look like the story they wanted to tell if they didn't have to deal with politics in this day and age? Do you think that would have been actually decent?
If they would have taken out the stereotypes, it would have passed 10 years ago. But they put in so much racial stereotypes, it was ridiculous.
But I thought they're supposed to be fighting racism.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But if we get rid of racism, then the SJWs have nothing to get mad about, so they'll make up new racisms.
Well, okay, so I could understand, they immigrated to the city from Fireland. I could see them going, the strange world, not very, not very secure outside around, their neighborhood, stuff like that, and developing that way. And if they kept it that way, it would have actually made a really good story. But then they throw in like the dad fighting the cop because fire wasn't allowed into the botanical garden. And then they threw in, like I said, that, oh, you speak really well for speaking. And then they also added, they had a non-binary gender fluid water kid.
Of course they did.
That was a lesbian non-binary couple. But even though these were teenagers. They were teenagers and they put them in.
Of course, it's for kids.
I mean, they only had like a 5-second show or in the movie, but that's 5 seconds of teenagers having sexuality in there.
When you're talking about whatchamacallit, they say you speak very well. I can't help but think of somebody who actually did that somehow a lot better a long time ago. And that was from one of the Wizard of Oz books. I can't remember exactly what happened, but two characters were meeting. And because one of them, they spoke the exact same language, but because one of their languages was called the language of the pumpkins, and that's they called it where they come from, and the other one called it like the language of the munchkins, where they come from, they just assumed, even though they could perfectly understand each other, they're speaking two different languages, therefore they should understand each other. And they went to go get a translator. And after like this big old funny back and forth, the translator finally convinced them that they can talk to each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people need to understand that the 50s were a long time, 70 years ago. And the 60s were,
That's why all the racist movies take place back then.
Yeah. Just like, for cripe's sakes. I was just writing to somebody who was asking me about, because I got consulted by somebody for a book about racism.
10 years ago?
Well, hang on. A book about racism. And she asked me what I thought about the topic. And I said, I'd like to go back to the 80s where where it was like a big hair. It felt like a big hair utopia. We
I'll be right back.
We had we didn't, every generation has its race issues, but it's like this was nowhere near as bad back then, and it just, oh my god,
When I was growing up in the 80s, nobody cared about ethnicity.
no, nobody did. So,
I mean, I'm sure somebody did somewhere, but
there's
Other-
always gonna be
other than
somebody.
stand-up comedians, nobody cared.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be somebody who cares about it, but it's like, this is, the 50s ended 70 years ago. So,
Yeah.
gee, for cripe's sakes. All right. What were you going to say?
Wow, and you were even old back then.
Well, Jersey said Disney will know any movie to death. I believe you. Official Chill Kid, Working Class Retrowave. I saw that one. It's a family favorite. How you doing, Chill Kid? What's up, man? Which one did you see and was a family favorite? That was probably posted long ago. I don't remember where in the conversation that one's lining up with.
Well, there's a score of good Pixar films, so
Yeah. Well, like I said, it would actually be a decent movie if they weren't throwing all the stereotypes and shoving it in your face. Like,
It's
they
to
would've
the
just-
point where it's just sickening to see it now. It's
Yeah.
just so often.
if they just left it, she fell in love with a water guy and kind of went that way, it would have been okay. It was kind of cute, but they threw in all that other garbage that you couldn't help but know that's exactly what they were thinking. They weren't telling a story of fire and water. They were telling a story of racism.
And here's the problem. When they do all this, we're going to talk about racism with this group, with that group, using this context. They did it in Zootopia. They're doing Elementals. It doesn't work because there is
There's
no
no
such
cartel.
thing. There's this whole race idea is complete BS. It was made up many years ago. There's one race, the human race.
Yep.
Just because people have different colored skin does not decide how they act or personalities or anything. We are all have the same for the most part, have the same organs in our body. We
Mhm.
all have a brain. We all have a heart. This is all BS. So when they try to teach racism using elements or trying to use different animals, it doesn't work because different species of animals have different bone structures, different organs. They mate with different species. Same thing as when you get into with the elements, it's like there are very certain things: fire, water, earth, air, dew, and what happens when they interact, why you get new creations out of it.
Stormcrow will tell you.
That,
Or I'll put it this way. The original Star Trek did this all better. Like way better. So, I mean,
that's true too.
if you look in those stories, it's all of this same type of stuff, all hidden in those stories, but done with like way better. Is done with way better writing, and it's like at one point or another, if you want to get into that type of stuff, go watch Star Trek and stop sucking as a writer. No, I'm dead
That's
serious.
from 2009 Star Trek.
Yeah,
that's
so,
that's
like,
the first one. Jim Kirk.
When
Spock,
they did
Spock,
a dance scene.
Spock. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So, like, the fire and water dude did a
Damn it,
dance
Jim, I'm a
scene
doctor,
together.
not a. Go ahead.
They were dancing and creating steam between each other. They were having a chemical reaction to show that they could be together.
Okay.
Wouldn't the steam though kind of eliminate water from the plane of existence?
Actually, in the movie, it did for about 2 minutes until she got him to start crying, and then all the steam accumulated, and he came back.
Okay, so they just got to keep a roof over them. They can't touch each other out in public though. That's
Oh, so like
Then
a
she's
Game
just
of
gonna
Thrones ending.
evaporate.
Did
Wait.
the
Game of
fire
Thrones
guy-
has an ending?
Yeah, a bad one. Did the fire guy say, "You're my queen"?
No, he just bawled. The fire person just made the water dude cry a lot.
Looks like Chilke was referring to The Good Dinosaur when he was talking about when I asked him which movie.
Mhm.
See, what I would have done is I would have made the water dude really buff. Instead of crying, he'll sweat a lot because he works outdoors like a real man.
I honestly Disney's trying to make kids stupid. I mean, like really stupid.
Well,
So
see, they don't have to try. It's because none of them are smart in the first place. All they can
that's
do
true.
is dumb down even further. You know,
We're
It's like,
we're seeing the revenge of the participation trophy generation.
I
So
suppose so.
I'm dead serious. You know, no one's ever. The world is a competitive place, and when you stop getting rid of competition, this is what you get.
Well, it's the sportsless generation, is what I call them, because even if you
Yeah.
got the participation generation, you still had to lose the freaking game. That was clear. You lost. These guys were never in the game to begin with.
Yeah. So, and by the way,
They got their own trophies.
Up was probably the last good Disney cartoon ever made.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
that
pissed
was a
me
good one.
off.
Oh, they do an up thing.
The stupid damn
short film.
movie started with a short of Carl trying to go out on a date.
Oh wow, yeah, that is kind of insulting to like up.
Like
Well,
he was trying to get ready for a date. And I'm like, I didn't want to watch that. Why the hell did they put it at the beginning of the movie?
Who's Carl? Is this like
ma-
Walking Dead Carl? Where's Carl? Carl.
No, the Up guy. Up's name is Carl.
Oh, okay.
he's Carl.
Ellie's
too
his
is
wife. And then if the short ended with him
Yes.
walking over to his wife's picture and saying, "I'll be home by 11."
Jason.
You know, they
They
need to stop.
ruined their own legacy.
I know. That was a great ending where he found, happiness with the kid again and
What are we talking about?
we're
He should've
talking
been
about
here.
Klingons and
We're talking about Klingons and that really great child character played by Will Wheaton.
their preferences
know,
change.
Shut up, Wesley.
You mean the one who's getting diddled by the time traveler? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Of course, you'd know that.
Shut up, Wesley.
They didn't
Now we
write
can
him off
talk
soon
about
enough.
Alexander. Wrangler's favorite character.
Yeah.
No, I was just sorry.
Son
I
of
was
Worf,
not
son of
happy.
Moog.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these people are crapping all over they're crapping all over everything. I'm just
Well-
glad I didn't go.
No,
And-
you know what's
and if-
funny is this was like part of their big plan to infiltrate society and change culture, and they're not even good at it. They don't.
Yeah.
They can't even make good propaganda.
They used to be. They started pushing too hard, too much.
Well,
at
the
once,
they
and they
isn't
lost
them
it.
anymore. The they isn't them anymore. There is no more Pixar. All the guys are gone. They're back. Some of them are back at Sony, where Pixar came from.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
at
the
least-
propagandists they've been sliding stuff in movies for a long time. It used to be far more subtle. They used
You
to
better.
they used to have some kind of actual artistic talent as they did it, and now they just kind of ditched
Fired them
that
all.
completely, just in favor of.
The message.
Yep, we need a clip of Critical Drinker saying that, because nobody on the internet says it.
Oh,
as
I've
good
been
as
I've been
his
thinking about making a
reverberating
clip of
the
that for a
message.
while.
I'll bet you people have clips of that all over the place.
Yeah, I agree with Jersey. It made actually about 29 mil. It's the lowest Pixar movie ever made, even officially lower than the first Toy Story.
The funny thing is that they'll claim that it's all because of COVID.
Yeah, of course. It can't be their fault.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember this. I remember a bunch of idiotic lockdowns, but I don't remember this COVID thing.
Yeah, it's COVID because your movie made people physically freaking ill.
Yeah.
All right, I found the clip. It's in the private chat.
Yeah. The Flash, the movie I didn't watch. Although, since we're talking about movies and they want to talk about the Flash, obviously we're going to talk about the new Craven trailer that dropped. Was that the only one that?
I have not seen that yet. The trailer.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen it pop up, but I don't know why I had no interest.
Yeah, and I thought it looked all right, and it's definitely going to be bloody. It looked like they're using CGI blood, but at least it's still on screen. And it has the rhino at the end, and he is completely very CGI-esque. I don't know how I really feel about it because it's also Sony, and they made
Look. I'm gonna sound like a complete dunce here. Who's Craven?
Kraven the Hunter. He's a Spider-Man villain who's a hunter. He wears like a what do you call it? He's got like a giant lion's mane on him and claws.
So
He
wait,
was-
is this Sony's desperate attempt to still keep going on with their Spider-Verse stuff?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, though. I'm not sure how like that's gonna fit in with Spider-Man because it's very bloody of a trailer. Like he straight up kills multiple people, takes a knife to someone's throat, bites someone in the freaking face, and the camera
this the
does
same
not
Morpheus?
move away.
Is this
I
the
have
same
wondered
universe
if
as Morbius?
I would assume because like for a minute there, I thought he was Morbius at the beginning. I was like, oh, is that Morbius?
Well,
I
here
have
it
to
is.
wonder
This
if
is a red band trailer.
The message.
Yeah, the message.
I have wondered if it's a branch off of the Venom movies,
I
because the
think
Venom movies is very bloody and gruesome.
I seen the first Venom movie, and it was not like it still turned away when it was about to give you the bloody kill, but this one did not turn away. Like it was straight up violence. Like you say, wow, that's actually pretty violent. Like it harkens a little bit towards Wolverine-esque violence. I say a little bit because they had way better looking blood in Wolverine or Logan. I mean, way better looking blood in Logan.
It's Morbin time.
Yeah. Although I don't think they're gonna go through with this because Morbius was a complete piece of crap.
It was
the
so
Venom movies
bad. It
were
was the
great,
only movie in history that'd be so bad it got a second release.
right? Because of a meme.
They
Is
don't
that-
understand meme
Did-
culture.
But
Do you remember
did they actually rake anything in just
Right.
off of that memeing and second
Zilch.
release? Did they get any?
Hold
out
up.
of
Do
it?
y'all remember the Disney Cat movie?
The cat, you mean from Cats? CATS?
It's the cat. It's an adaptation of the musical Disney
Oh,
done.
Oh
That was
God,
done
I
by
hate
Disney?
that thing.
Don't.
The movie got updated
Oh yeah, I remember
here in
that one.
theaters.
The only
But,
thing I
uh,
can think of is the cat from outer space.
I think they're this might be. I think they're gonna desperate attempt this. I'm not sure we're actually gonna because they're clearly trying to set up a Sinister Six, but I don't think we're gonna get that far. I don't think we're gonna get a Sinister
They
Six.
tried to do that in Far From Home, and then they ended up taking Venom out of
Yeah.
the equation, so they had the pain in the
Well,
butt
that was-
5, I guess. I don't know.
So that was originally Sony's plan, was to do a Sinister Six movie. That's the whole point of the Amazing Spider-Man 2's ending.
That's why it imploded Amazing Spider-Man 2. They tried too
imploded
much
'cause it
at
was-
once.
Nah,
Yeah.
that movie was just shit. Look, come on.
Yeah, that movie
Well, it
wasn't
was.
that great. Cat from outer space. Okay.
You know, I remember
looked
that
kinda
movie. It
fun.
came out at the same time Iron Will did.
I kind
I
of want to
remember
watch
Iron Man.
that.
Iron Will was a better movie.
It was.
And
I
had
never
Kevin
saw
Spacey
Iron
in
Will.
it. Young Kevin
Is it
Spacey.
Morbin time, chill kid?
Help! I've just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement.
Well, I
Are
just
you gonna
watched.
start? Are you gonna start twirling your mustache really evilly? We get him a monocle and a
Nah.
top hat. He looked perfect. Perfect for the
Well,
villain.
thank you. I think I look perfect as I am, but well, no,
Or-
not really.
Or you could play Moriarty from like Sherlock.
Moriarty.
I
Yeah.
tie you
Isn't
to
he kind of known
Kid, I
for not
couldn't
showing
see
his
him.
face?
My microphone was blocking him.
I can actually see Herman being Moriarty, man. He's got the
All right,
voice.
who recognizes that?
Is that from the Flight of
That's
the
the-
Navigator?
That's why
Yeah,
yeah,
You are correct. Oink oink, too many Twinkies.
That was one of my favorite childhood movies that I only remember a handful of scenes.
the whatchamacallit robot that Pee Wee Herman voiced.
Oh, was that Paul Rubin?
I believe it was.
Oh, cool. That I just never noticed that. I usually pick up on those things too. It never dawned on me.
I don't think so.
Yes, if
Yep,
you haven't
Paul
seen
Rubens.
Iron Will, It's worth
Yeah.
seeing.
It definitely is. It's old school Disney, and they used to make some really great adventure
Only
movies.
seen that once.
Yeah, they made some really great adventure stuff. And even if you go even further, like you watch a lot of their old school stuff, you can find a lot of it actually on YouTube.
Yeah.
They got some really good live action stuff back in the day.
Cool Runnings, man. That one was fun.
That was
I love
I miss
movie,
John
yeah.
Candy.
Did you make him Bub's a team?
Have you guys ever watched the movie Dragon Slayer?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about.
Hey.
Yeah.
But speaking of Flight of the Navigator, I think somebody else went to the same dealership for their vehicle.
Oh.
Of course.
I think that would be funny if
I
I
haven't
actually
made a
knew what that
Metroid
meant.
reference in a while. I had to do it.
Oh,
I was supposed to say
Like
that looks like a
Metroid.
Meteoroid helmet.
Yeah, it's Samus's gunship.
Are you saying that Flight Navigator and Metroid are in the same shared universe?
No.
He wishes.
That movie originally freaked me out a little bit, Flight of the Navigator, because it essentially opens up with a kid either traveling through time or going to a different dimension, and then he's just like in the future. And that future sequence had always freaked me out.
The whole movie is free on YouTube?
A lot of movies are actually free on YouTube. I don't think Flight of the Navigator is, though, but you can find a lot of older Disney films on there.
Well,
It might be. I know I found a
No,
terrible
I
film.
posted.
yeah, that's the link you put
I
in the
posted
chat.
that link there because it was a cool video that I watched the other day. There's a guy who breaks down how they did all the special effects. It was pretty
Oh,
awesome.
I thought it was
I
the
might
full
watch
movie
that.
or something. I
No,
saw
no.
how long it was.
I might watch
It's
that
a really
after
fun
stream.
video. I like the creator a lot.
Old school stuff. Flight of the Navigator is great, but you can find a lot of movies on there. I know I find a lot of old school movies I used to watch on the Sci-Fi Channel. These come on the weekends. They're absolutely terrible. They're even worse today. They didn't age well at all.
You're having some mic problems, chill kid?
Captain Disillusion.
Trying to move it out of my way. Oh, somebody needs to change the battery on their smoke alarm there.
Yeah, Maji.
It's not me.
It's Billy.
Because mine's
it's
still
not.
unplugged. If you guys get the reference.
No, it's not me. I checked
It's
mine
Maji.
last time thinking it was mine, and it's not.
We keep telling her, but she don't listen. Or he, I mean. Sorry, misgendered him.
Whatever.
Cats confused my Goliath.
I'm going to assume he has a cat named Goliath.
That's what I'm guessing.
Or
got
a
an
very
alley
large
cat.
rooster.
I got an alley cat lives under my house.
Oh yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
have an alley under your house?
No, but that's I got one in the backyard, and I often see him there. But he sleeps under the house.
This explanation
On the
is
bright side, at least you
super
don't have
good.
rats in your crawl space.
Yeah, that's an impossibility. Go find him.
Yeah, me and my cat we're 3-2 right now. I'm winning. I caught 3 in mouse traps. He caught 2 on his own.
My
Oh,
cat's
I'm waiting to
fat
see
and
if he
here.
evens out the score again.
that reminds me of the original title of Jaws 3. And I'm not lying when I say this. The original title, at least one of them, for Jaws 3, was Jaws 3 People Zero.
Chill, kid. That just looks natural from you.
Pipes are very natural. Everybody should have at least 3
Yeah,
of them.
but I've
No.
seen people like pick up a pipe and it just does not look right in there.
Right? You need to be in a suit. I'm sorry.
I'll be right
sir.
back.
You need to be in a suit. He's gonna get a pipe.
Damn,
What do you got there?
a few pipes.
That is at least 3.
Yeah, I missed it when
yeah, I
you were
have
holding them
it.
up.
I have
Chill.
at least 3, and I got this little one just in case. So there's the
Oh,
3 and a
that's
half.
Your training pipe.
I like to keep this handy for close encounters.
We need to take a little.
That was when I realized I needed to get off Timu and put the phone down.
I have not been on there yet. And stories like that is why I haven't.
I'm not going to endorse it,
Hey, RC.
but when
Scott.
you're broke, it's nice to be able to buy some nice things.
But King Bob, when you were so long going by Captain Bob, I mean, every sea captain looks good holding a pipe. I can't
See-
imagine you wouldn't look good holding a pipe.
If you look bad holding the pipe, all you got to do is do
There
your
are several-
hair and get in the suit, and you're
There
there.
are several
What's
ways
up,
to
RC Scott?
mistake that last sentence there.
Guilty Gearhead agrees. He says, King Bob, that's impossible, sir. So, Chill, what have you been up to?
Oh, just trying to get all the content updated on YouTube and the other platforms. That's been pretty much all weekend, other than the Father's Day stuff. And then the big release today, the listening party. Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
nobody was there but me, but I did get through all the lyrics of the party song from Nacho Libre. The screenshots to prove it. So that was cool.
Must have happened while I was at work, which is
No, you're good.
all day.
It's just funny because I think all these platforms think I'm more popular than I am. They're like, you should do a listening party, and I'm like, I should do a what? So yeah,
She was listening to the AI.
yeah.
Don't listen to the AI.
Well, you're
I'm
all
sorry,
already
dude.
part of
I
my
can't do
simulation
that.
anyway. So I mean, yeah, but that's all. That's all I know. I'm gonna mute myself again. Somebody else take the mic.
All right, speaking of AI, what do you think? HAL versus Skynet?
Skynet.
Skynet. Just way more,
Well,
the internet.
Skynet's got all the artillery and hardware. I was talking about AI versus AI, not with the missiles they could launch, but just the two
Still
programs.
Skynet.
which could
Skynet's
still,
smarter. It evolves
Yeah.
faster.
Skynet's smarter, but Hal is able to use
but
manipulation.
Al
Not
just
just
wants to mess
knowledge.
with people.
well, Skynet
Al
did
likes
end
messing
up
with
picking up on
individuals.
those tricks too in the later Terminator movies.
That's fair. Good point.
I don't count
All
those
right.
as canon, man. They were terrible.
But I will still count
Okay,
Sarah
that's a
Connor
good point,
Chronicles
too.
as canon because that show, I love that show.
I like
Let's-
the first
let's
Let's
half
just
of
agree that the
Salvation.
first two movies are the only ones.
I agree.
I like the first half of Salvation,
That's what most
Oh.
people say.
Yeah, that's
Also-
what everyone in church
Also,
says.
Summer
too.
Glau
They-
did not
They
hurt.
love being saved from damnation.
right?
Some of the other
and,
stuff-
And the Terminator movie too.
It's like, yeah, it's too many. Too many.
It
jokes there.
was a shame though because they had Terry Crews as a cadaver. As soon as he hit the screen, he was already dead. I was like, "What? Now you gotta show him die?"
Well, what was it? Chris Kattan played a cadaver in Monkey Bone. Hey, it can be done.
You
Yeah,
can't
but
compare
Monkey
Chris
Bone, it
Kattan.
made sense.
Well, Chris Kattan almost never makes sense, so that's an impressive accomplishment.
Good point.
Even though
The
Mr.
dude
Peepers
plays-
is,
the dude does
is
the
a-
ragdoll routine unlike anybody though.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
his
I
Mr.
agree with
Peepers is
King Bob.
incredible.
What's that?
King Bob wins. He is king.
Oh yeah, they probably do the Arnold and Carl Weathers handshake.
That'd be a great art piece of commission. The Carl Weathers Arnold handshake, but it's AI with Hal and Skynet. I don't know how
And
you
there's too many
visualize that
fingers.
Skynet, but
There's like fingers everywhere.
There's some weird, fucked up, googly eyes there.
One of the
GLaDOS
knuckles
is
a
over
boot.
in the corner going, "What's going on?"
Dylan.
There, what was it?
Meanwhile,
King Bob
Max
or
Headroom's
Christian?
hanging out in the background, going, "I hope they never find me."
Christian posted a photo for the AI to turn it into like an anime, and it added a person and like an ass being smushed.
Yeah.
God,
Wait,
That
what?
was some weird shit. Yeah, I was like, what is he posted?
Okay, I gotta find this. Is it on Gilded?
Yeah, it's on Gilded.
Oh boy.
It looks like it decided to put someone getting smushed under someone else's ass that he's doing push-ups on, and that person was doing something with it.
Oh man.
The
So I
AI
haven't.
just started like it's kind of like me. After a while, it's just not paying attention, just adding extra stuff. Like, what were we talking about again?
King Bob, yeah, Max Headroom would have loved the Ghost in the Shell technology. He could finally have himself a physical body.
Do you guys remember that pirate broadcast where somebody had like a really bad Max Headroom mask and like cut into this like this news feed. It was like in the 90s or the 80s or something like that.
No,
Let me see if I can
I'm
find a
sorry
video
I
about
missed
it.
that. I would have found that hilarious.
Let me see if I can find a video about it. Here I go.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and wait because that would be weird. Go ahead and keep talking, but I'm gonna see if I can find this video.
Oh, I wasn't sitting here waiting. I was just trying to think of something to say, but I drew a blank.
Kapla!
Yeah, Kapla works. That's a good start.
Let me check the.
Herman, what have you been working on writing wise? What new achievements have you achieved?
What achievements have you achieved? Let's see.
All the achievements.
I got chapter 12 done last week, or last weekend, and so I got to write chapter 13. Although I was looking through all of my stuff, and I can probably skim some of chapter 13 from stuff I already have written down. I just copied up chapter 14, and there's going to be a chapter 15. So I'm cruising right along.
Nice. How much of the book you've got done there?
The rough, I probably have about 75% of it already done, but
Ooh.
I changed directions. I had to redo the beginning. And I still have like 2 or 3 chapters at the end to finish. And then I got to go back through it and make it all consistent because some of the stuff was all written out of sequence. So, go back and move some newer details into different areas.
Dirty non-sequencer.
Damn straight. So this chapter chapter 13 is basically going to be a lore dump because because of, number one, it fits, and number two, I need a connecting chapter that's not boring as crap. So
yeah, that helps. I know it's really difficult to get the lore dumps in there and make it flow right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's about time in this area because I need to explain why Hal Cedric is wanting to pursue what he's pursuing, and their guide is actually kind of like Drom in that he doesn't know all of the details, and so but he's more involved than Drom was, so he gets more,
Spoilers.
No, it's not really spoilers. I mean, you figure it out. You figure it out after the 3rd chapter. Okay, and actually the first 2 chapters deal with him meeting the guide, so it's not really a spoiler.
Righteous.
Hey,
Well, I can't wait for the release, man.
is somebody's smoke detector needing a battery replaced?
I think it's Maji.
How can it be me? I'm muted.
I think it's
Yeah, I'm
Maji.
sure.
So you're a ventriloquist that all muted.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I think I'm gonna try and push myself and get another book out in less than a year. So I'm gonna put one book
Nice.
out and then a second book out, but I have no freaking idea how I'm gonna do that. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff laying around that I'm trying to write to, and I just am like, I think it's too early, and my wife's going, well, so long as it's fun. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be fun. So I want to get 2 books out in a year.
Really? You're aiming for 2, huh? Is that this year or next year?
Next year.
All right.
By the time I get done with the rough draft, I let it sit a month, and then I start revising it. Then it goes out to beta readers. I get their feedback, and then I revise it, and then I send it out to the editor, and I revise it when it gets back, and then I do some more revisions. Then I send it out for a proofread, and then at that point, I start scheduling things like book cover, scheduling the audiobook guy, and all that other stuff. So, and
You got to use the same guy?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. And Stormcrow has a question.
A writing question for you.
How can I make
Says,
people care about my characters? I got everything finally written down plot wise, but actually making people root for my characters is complicated. That's a good question. Every character, unless they're going to be a Star Trek red shirt, every character has to have some sort of they call it vulnerable, some sort of vulnerable quality, but I don't think they call it vulnerable in they call that in movies. They have to have some sort of redeeming quality or a backstory that people can empathize with. So the problem is Hell Centric's not a good
Yeah.
example. But the Wizard Stone, you had Odo, who was basically sent out on a mission that he already knew is in over his head. The you had a bunch of characters like Pretty Boy and Maddie, who had their own particular backstories, and some of them being tragic. Rojo, who was sort of like a sympathetic individual, although I always kind of kept a certain amount of distance between the two. So all of these things, even though they have faults, they have qualities that most people can empathize with, or most people sort of look for in a person they want to be around. So, but I do
Yeah,
have
you got to
characters.
make them relatable in
Yeah.
some ways. Because like one thing like I do with small stories, and the easy way to do it
Mhm.
is simply put them in a situation where they're either going to be seen as somebody a bit slimy or somebody a bit righteous. You can pick the righteous path. There you go.
But I do have a story that is going to be like my big series, and this is what I'm writing to. And there is a character, and that is just a complete a-hole. And I over the years, I tried to kind of humanize him and give him some qualities that people will get attracted to. But you know what? I'm leaving him as an a-hole because in life there are guys who are just nothing but a-holes, and so that makes him realistic.
Yeah, I think chill kid, you're heading out, my brother.
he's on mute. Give him a minute.
Charade
there you go.
sounds like it's a movie. No.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for having me in here. Sorry I couldn't add anything more substantial, but it was very interesting hearing that you guys' different perspectives, especially Herman, as I'm learning how to write characters. And like you said, you have notes with things you're writing too. I really relate to that because I write notes all day long about different stuff that would be cool in the story that I'm working on. So I understand what you're talking about. That's pretty cool.
Is it the one we
thank you,
discussed
guys.
last
I
time you were
appreciate
on?
Happy Father's Day to the fathers in the chat here.
You too.
And to you. Thank you.
We'll see you guys around.
Later.
See you.
Either.
All right. Bye.
So anyway, so that's, like I said, everybody has a redeeming quality.
Mhm.
And Enoch had his own redeeming quality, but you didn't really see it till the end. And the relationships that these have that people can identify with, that's how you make people care.
Yeah.
But there are some guys you just want to be red shirts and you don't care. So
Right. One way that I like to do it is I'll have a rude character, but I'll make him a civil character.
yeah,
Or maybe he'll be rude, but he's not going to steal from you. Maybe he'll be rude, but he's going to make sure if somebody's going to swindle you, he's going to give you a little notice. He's
or
not going to do you wrong.
Or another thing would be to because they do this in the movies a lot. They have a guy who's kind of stern and, like I said, is kind of rude. But as you get to know the character, you begin to unravel that there is a tragic backstory there, and that sort of formed his relationship. Or you show like a crack in the guy's armor, where he for a moment stops being rude and starts being kind of a human being. And in that moment, you've then created a likable trait or something that people can look at and quickly identify and sort of be drawn to it.
You know what that reminds me of? It might be a good little character. Well, it is a good character study. It's the movie Fury, the tank movie Fury, if anybody's ever watched that. It's got multiple scenes of exactly that because most of the crew is introduced as completely like contentious and unlikable. And then slowly, you start each of them has their own scenes that you end up liking various characters throughout before the inevitable end battle.
Yeah, one thing I did with some of the side characters in my book is, as the main characters kind of snuck around the corner, listen, that you'd hear them say things like how much this one security guard loves his wife's tuna casserole or stuff. Just I tried to make them look like actual people, not just statues standing there waiting to catch somebody. You know, I think I landed it okay. I even had some of the bad guys who were semi throwaway develop actual personalities. So
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Touching on something you said there, Hedge Lord. I actually got one character that's exactly that. It's supposed to be just a plain jerk all the way through. And I
Yeah.
also decided to keep him as a jerk and have like this overarching story where you have your group of heroes on the journey and then you have your jerk. And
Yep.
then at the end, you have the big sacrificial play, but the sacrificial play is more so a sacrifice of one's own honor rather than, one's own life. And the only one who has the goal to make the play is the jerk who ends up becoming the hero.
So how do you write it? How do you go about writing hateable characters? Don't give them any empathetic qualities. I mean, when you think about Joffrey,
is that from Game of Thrones or?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like the kid jerk king.
and
Is he like Emperor Cusco without the humor?
not quite sure. Who's Emperor Cusco?
From the Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, the Emperor actually learned something. Joffrey didn't learn anything. He just sort of spiraled down into more hateable territory.
Yeah.
So being self-centered, being, I would have to say, extremely self-centered.
Manipulative, I think, is
manipulative.
almost one of the easiest way to go. Nobody likes a liar, especially if they lie to good people,
Backstabbing.
That's right, Herman. I put all them qualities for your character.
That's good. 'Cause I like being a bad character. No, actually, I don't. But whatever.
Frequency specifically said that was an Eric Cartman move.
Yeah, Fury is a great movie and a great character study because there's likable characters and there's contentious, hateable characters almost all the way through to the end, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like what you see.
Yeah, Fury was a great movie.
Was great one-liners. Great quotable film right there. Probably one of the last greats. What was that, like 2018?
Yeah.
No, it was earlier. I think it was 2015.
Really? Okay, yeah. It was a great film.
Those good movies are getting further and further away now.
Yeah, and it actually inspired a short story I want to write sometime in the future about a mech crew instead of a tank crew.
So, but anyways, like I said, I do have a hateable character, and that guy is even when he tries to be relatable, is just comes. Even when he tries for a moment to be relatable, the a-hole in him comes out. So, and I know that I'm probably going to get kicked in the teeth on that because you didn't humanize his character. I didn't want to.
You very much did humanize his character. It's not the kind they like.
Yeah. There are a-holes in the world, and that's realistic. I've met a few.
How about
think
you
of an
guys
episode
dealing
of House where House says, "I was trying to be nice," and Cuddy says, "I think you're confusing nice with evil."
Yeah, but but the thing is empathetic with House is that House was always dedicated to finding something to somehow heal. I mean, to heal the
he saved the life.
Save the life of the person. So
he was
he's dedicated.
Just insufferable as he did it.
Exactly. So I mean, you can hate him, but that's what he does. And the other thing too is that as insufferable as he is almost always very truthful, kind of. When he has to be.
But even when he's being truthful, he's straight up manipulative.
True.
And it's one of those things, I use him as an example a lot. I say House is the kind of character you love the guy on screen. On TV, you're like, you can't get enough. But if you met someone like that in real life, you would hate him quicker than you would ever believe. It's fun on TV. You don't want those kind of
Narcissist.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to deal with a narcissist for a couple years in my old work environment. No fun.
I'm actually friends with a narcissist. No, he's not diagnosed, but I've said if he's diagnosed with a bunch of other stuff. And actually, when I picked him up from doctors once, I asked him, how did they miss the obvious narcissism? And without skipping a beat, he said, because I am a people person. It's like, it was unreal. But I actually called him a narcissist, a few months prior. I was like, you are definitely a narcissist. He's like, what is that? So I pulled out my phone, said, Google narcissist definition, held up my phone, and the Google lady voice came on there and explained it. And he went, oh, what's wrong with that? He wasn't kidding.
Well, nothing for the narcissist.
Yeah, it's like, he's got no problem with it. He's like, yeah, so I'm awesome. I'm allowed to be.
At least he's confident.
The other thing about hateable characters is there's always
Yeah.
that one guy who likes to create chaos.
Oh yeah.
And even though they claim that they don't try, they do, and they end up causing contention wherever they go.
They're
That's
called
another,
passive aggressive.
or
Yeah.
not even that. I mean, people who do stuff quiet, hidden in behind the scenes, or not out of anybody witnessing it, that purposely creates contention, and they get off on it, and they think it that they'll never get caught. They usually do, because somebody finally figures it out.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very interesting story.
Yes, and boy, have I met a few of those in my time.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a question for you, Herman. What do you think about a character? There are tipping points of no return. Can you take a character, have them just descend into worse and worse, make them utterly hateable, and then at what point do you think you can no
Darth
longer
Vader?
turn them around for redemption? At what point do you go, okay, the closest this guy could get to redemption now is to sacrifice himself? There's no
count.
coming back for this guy.
Page
What's
count.
that? Page count?
Yeah. Basically, how close are you to the end of the story?
Oh no, this isn't anything specific in the story. It's just an idea that popped to mind. It's like, how much can you make someone hate a character before you're unable to have that character be redeemed in the reader's eyes? And there's a very subjective moving line, probably. I just thought it'd be fun to hear opinions on this.
Sometimes you can. Very rarely can you do that.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering, like, at what point of nastiness do you reach where it's like, okay, now it's too far. You can't redeem this character.
Well, I mean, if you start trying to do stuff that, if you spent 3/4 of the book showing this guy descending further and further and further into, detestable territory, they're not, unless for some reason they have like this instant moment of clarity, or a moment where they're confronted somehow with the things that they've done wrong. You have to be consistent with the character. Otherwise, you're bending the story around the character as opposed to character around the story.
I do have a character that does follow something like that, but the difference is he had a whole book going down and has a whole book coming, not back up, but turning in a bit of a different direction.
Yeah, but I mean,
but that's like that's like years separation, and that's not. I was talking about more of, do you reach a point where, okay, this character can only be hated now, no matter what? I mean, how evil does he have to be when you reach that point? Where's that tipping point?
Well, I think it's not so much the tip. Go ahead.
Under the age of 18, I'd say.
Oh, well, stuff like that. Yeah, that's definitely tipping point area. But
I mean, I think that the thing is that if you're going to have a turnaround, you have to show fragments and see. You have to kind of like plant seeds that there is still some humanity there.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, if you have this moment of clarity, there's nothing to anchor that to earlier in your story. So you have to drop seeds. It's kind of like, basically the moment of clarity is the character twist. And
Gotcha.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could have a fun story where someone's delving further and further, and then by the time they start realizing what they've become, what they're doing, it's too late.
no,
And
I
have
mean, if
fun stories like
once
that.
the thing is that the thing is about in every one of these instances where they sort of like wind themselves down into a living hell, there's never the realization, in my opinion, there's never the realization that what they're doing is wrong.
I'm just saying you can have a good story
Yeah.
on like
Yeah.
that concept.
I like the
I mean, that's what
idea
Breaking
that
Bad is.
I like the idea that villains
Not
like that
really
can
on
come
Breaking
dangerously
Bad.
close to that realization, but at the last minute they turn away from it. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of that idea.
Yeah, Breaking Bad, not really. Just Walter. Well, originally the writers weren't, or Vince Gilligan wasn't intending Walter to be evil. And as they went through the series, they're like, "All right, we're just going to change it where,
Well, that's why that's the
he's
Breaking
always
Bad
had the
series.
tendency and the ability to be evil."
But that's basically it. Like it began with him thinking he was going to die, leaving Cash behind. Now strictly it, and then he gets addicted to the empire building.
Yeah.
I agree with Bruno there, though. Is like there are certain things that give away that a character is
There's
not
not
coming
coming
back.
back.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
That-
really up,
yeah.
you know.
So what determines that not coming back point? Like, how do you know
think-
where that line is?
I think
I guess-
ambition is one of those characteristics.
Well, for any of you who have read The Perils of Sasha Reed, I think Blood Eagle very well fits that kind of character. He's that kind of character where you're like, yeah, this isn't a guy that's going to ever turn around.
Oh, the other thing too is when they have that moment of clarity and they completely ignore it and keep going. That's another way.
Yeah.
Because that would mean the thing is about everybody who carries their sins with them at one point or another, they begin to realize how much baggage that they have and how much they'd have to carry back the other way. And so sometimes it's just easier to drop your baggage and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yes, King Bob. Are we the baddies?
Or if they're just too far along, like there's another thing is the plot. You know, some aspects of the plot simply will not allow them to move back without essentially sacrificing everything, which is usually including their life and or future.
Well, I mean, you can also have them be in denial where they get the clarification, then they're like, "Fuck, I've already committed."
Yeah. Or
Was it all for
another
nothing?
thing is they're just plain frickin' true believers.
Mm.
And there's nothing you're going to do or say to change them. And they're headlong off the cliff.
40K style, baby.
Yep.
Now there's King Bob with Shiny. Let's be bad guys. Jane, the man they call Jane.
Oh, Otter.
I
watched
love that
Major
show.
Pain for the first time.
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
Oh yeah, I love
Oh,
that movie.
nice.
I was surprised by how dumb it wasn't. I expected it to be so much stupider when I saw that, and I was like,
What?
"This actually isn't bad."
Which
it has
movie?
its moments of being
Major
dumb, but it
Pain.
also
yeah,
has
definitely,
its really heartfelt moments.
Which
I
movie
just
we
thought it was
talking
gonna
about?
be straight up
Major
dumb,
Pain.
and it
Oh,
was
Major
not.
Pain.
Yeah.
Did you
I
watch it
had
the
that on
first
VHS
time
to
when-
watch too much
I
time.
was so pleasantly surprised when I watched that.
When did
I
you
feel
watch
like it's the perfect embodiment of Billy Bob Sack's sense of humor.
it?
Not enough
Dummy.
dick jokes.
I'll show you a dummy.
I'm gonna shove my foot so far up your ass the
The
water off my
on
knee will quench your thirst.
throat. Yeah, that
Oh,
was one of the few movies. I grew up on a ranch, so I only had a handful of movies on VHS, and that was one of them. And I watched too much time. One of my
I can't
favorite
believe I
ones
missed
is
that one.
one of
I
my
watched it
favorite
on
ones right
VHS
off
as well.
the. One of my favorite ones right off the back was when he first introduced himself, lines up the kids in front, and they're like, "Oh, just yeah, whatever." And you just hear him shooting his gun directly up in the air to get their attention. Just unloads the magazine.
Basically, Heartbreak Hill.
Yeah, you
Can't,
keep on
Heartbreak
can't
Hill
do
laughing.
that
territory.
anymore. in
Hey,
movies.
Otter, how did you like Jack Nicholson in it?
He's literally there for like 2 minutes, but I mean he does play a pretty pivotal role in it. It
Yeah.
actually made me care more.
Because I got Trippy to watch it because we were posting shit on it yesterday,
I saw that.
and then Trippy went and watched it too, and I was like, all right, can't wait until he sees Jack Nicholson show up for like 2 minutes as a abusive drunk dad.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? For some reason, I thought that was Michael Ironside. That wasn't it.
the thing is, I half realized it, but I didn't fully realize it until Billy Bob Sack said it last night, and I went, "Holy shit, that is Jack Nicholson."
I mean, if you're gonna get a cameo for a role, I think that's perfect role. You know, something actually pivotal yet small. Still gonna have a very character moment because of it.
I really liked Brad Pitt's cameo in Deadpool too. Anybody remember that?
No, I don't remember that
no.
one.
He was
Well,
in
he
there.
remembers
Plays the
Deadpool
Invisible
too.
Man, and he
Yes.
gets electrocuted.
Oh,
yeah, the whole
yeah.
time you wonder if there's actually somebody there until he got hung up in the power lines and you only saw him while he was getting electrocuted. It was Brad Pitt.
Oh,
Showed
yeah.
up for like
Yeah.
half a second. That was it. Just to die. It was like,
Right.
One of my favorite Brad Pitt roles is in 12 Monkeys. His
Oh,
role in
yeah.
that is
oh,
utter bad shit.
I bet you he had so much fun playing that part. He just looked like he was having a good time.
Yeah, I'm willing to believe it. It's
Burner.
pretty easy, pretty believable.
You know, he is a very good actor. You know, I haven't yet to see him in a bad role. I really haven't. I haven't seen him in a bad role, and he does kind of adjust. What was that? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I
Yeah.
like that. I
Oh, he
like
plays
I like
Cliff
this.
Booth. That's
Yeah.
my favorite performance of him. It's just great.
I always think of his
Oh.
performance in Inglourious Bastards.
Well, that's pretty good too.
Yeah,
Readout. I forgot that Bam
killing
Bam Bigelow
Nazis.
was in Major Pain as well.
He is. He is. I think he's like the hired guard or something they go
Yeah.
to send to go kill whatchamacallit, kill the
Well, they
he
go
soldiers.
the
to send to
biker?
beat up Major Pain to get him
Yeah.
to leave. He's the biker.
Oh, okay.
Yes, while he was dipping out of WWE and going to ECW.
What's ECW?
ECW.
It was an Extreme Championship Wrestling, I think.
Yes, but it was mostly everyone on drugs.
Extreme.
Yeah,
hitting each
ECW
other
is
with
the
chairs and
greatest
doing all
slash
kinds of-
worst thing to happen to wrestling. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I still think one of the best things to happen to wrestling was the Dudley Boys. Devon, get the tables.
Yes, they were. They, in my opinion, they are the greatest. Well, they're one of the greatest tag teams. I think they're the most decorated.
They're the most
tag
fun.
teams. I mean, nothing will compare to the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom. They are definitively the greatest of all time.
Okay, what do you think of this team, Kai and Tai?
It's so weird seeing him nerd out. I like it.
Oh, I need to make a correction. It was Michael Ironside. I don't know why I was thinking Jack Nicholson earlier.
Okay, there you go. I knew it was Ironside.
How
So
do
I
you
was the
think
only
he
one that
Nicholson with
remembered.
Ironside?
I was the only one that remembered.
But still,
Have I
that's
ever
fucking
told you the
badass
story
guy.
of the little engine that could?
Oh gosh.
Just retelling him his first mission.
But just didn't.
He's like, I can't feel my leg. Bubba, they ain't there. Oh gosh, that's such a good one. He just unloads the magazine into the kid's closet to prove there's no freaking monster in there.
Oh, they got when they try to blackmail Major Payne in the movie, they dress up the fat kid.
Oh gosh.
to take
Hello,
pictures with
Betty.
him.
Hello, Betty. Man, freaking Damon Wayans. He did. That was probably one of his greatest performances right there. He was one of my favorite comedians back in the day. I even watched his sitcom. I miss those days when they just give comedians sitcoms and surrounded by terrible actors. Miss those days.
You know what I wish we could do, which I know we can't do, is I finally watched Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. We can't do that in today's society. We can't
Oh,
have
God.
fun and make fun of everything.
Absolutely not.
The
What do you
romance
think
is
people would
actually
think
hangover.
today if White Chicks just got released? right now.
Oh,
You couldn't do
they
hangover
might like it.
Haji.
What would happen?
That's kind
Oh,
of a tough
God.
one.
I think they could
They-
get
they-
away
Oh, God.
with it 'cause
people
it
would be
mainly-
torn on that.
I don't
I
think
mean,
so,
they
'cause it
immediately
primarily
have-
makes fun of white people. It's black people
Yeah.
primarily making
Yeah,
fun of
we-
rich white
That's
people.
what I
so
said.
they get
People
away
would
with
be
it.
torn on that, but they'd be like, "But that's white face and woman face. You can't do that." Ah.
I don't think they care about whiteface.
Yeah,
Well,
they don't
maybe
care
the
about
woman
that.
part. Maybe the woman part, but I think that might mask it with the fact that they're rich white women. If
My
maybe
favorite
one of them was
gag-
black.
My favorite gag of the Hot Shot series isn't even like one of the most raunchy ones. It's from, I think, part duh. I think it's part duh. When they're going up the river and Charlie
love
Sheen's
it.
narrating, and out of nowhere, here comes Martin Sheen out of Apocalypse Now.
I loved you. Oh gosh, yeah. That
You
was
know what's
good.
funny?
I loved you
Okay,
in Wall Street.
I really wish that I had mad Photoshop skills because in Hot Shots Part 2, when he's riding the motorcycle, standing on it one-legged, pointing in the air, I wish I had the ability to Photoshop Royce's face and call it Sunday Coffee.
Chat.
or maybe the similar scene from what was it called? Hard Target with Van Damme when he's like standing on a running motorcycle and
Exactly. That would be funny as hell.
but
Look
leave
at
the
this
mullet.
thing.
Yeah, use the Van Damme one and leave the mullet on.
Oh my gosh. I can't have the Photoshop skills.
I might. I'm just not sure if I have the time.
I'm an otter with simple tastes. In part 2, I just love the chicken arrow scene.
I like where it was doing the body count as he was killing all the bad guys, and it goes bloodiest movie ever. And then he runs out of ammo, goes up to a box full of
Yeah,
bullets,
just
scoops up a
throws
handful,
bullets.
throws it, and when he throws it, you hear the brrrr, and all the guys in front of him fall over.
I like the first one where he cracks the egg on her and it's hot enough to cook her.
That whole romance scene is just pure gold. I love it so much.
You can't get away with that anymore, man.
They actually used to make a fair amount of spoof movies back in the day.
They
A
did.
decent
But
one. Even Val
I
Kilmer wasn't one of them.
I feel like we're getting freaking cheated, man, because they had all the spoof movies on Hulu for free.
Mhm.
So I was just watching these. I'm like, why the hell have I never seen these? There's like
Yeah.
one with Declassified where they're going behind the Iron Curtain in 1990s.
They're back
then-
from a time when people were allowed to have fun.
It's just like we're getting screwed, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
don't look at this. It's going to be terrible. And there's a mirror that magically shows up behind, or a window that magically shows up behind him that reflects everything.
There's
What was
a
the most
lot of
recent
great
iteration of that before all of it went away? There was
Oh, those were
the
terrible.
there was the
Those-
full-on parody movies. Then there were the
Mhm.
college road trip movies.
Those
Yeah.
don't
Oh
really
yeah.
count.
They
Those
don't know
didn't
how to
have the
make
same
fun.
Those
type
were
of-
not parody movies. Those were almost like
They don't
these
have
weird.
heart. They don't have heart.
It's not even that. They didn't really have jokes. They just had strange pop culture references. And like, if you look at them, they're more skits than anything. They're like skit shows.
And
on
if you
television.
string a bunch of those together, you get an episode of Family Guy.
Yeah.
Or the Big
Yeah,
Bang
I mean,
Theory.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
miss the old school ones. They don't
Go to
make them
jail.
anymore, and they had
Right.
very clever comedy. I remember the one. I think it was one with Val Kilmer. I can't remember what it was called, but there was a scene when they're all trying to walk quietly through the woods, and their feet are making a lot of noise. And then so Kilmer stops, turns around, and goes, "Shush, keep them down." They all nod, and they keep walking the exact same, but the editor just took out the sound. I think that's hilarious.
I think it was called Batman.
Maybe.
But no, like I watched Naked Gun for the first time too.
Oh my
They're
god.
I'm just like, why
Have you watched
what
Airplane
happened to
yet?
movies? Yeah, I've seen Airplane.
That was great.
Don't
The
call me Shirley.
autopilot. I was just like, it's so bad.
So frequency, you're old enough.
Yeah.
What was the announcement of what was the reaction when people realized Mr. Mom was playing Batman?
I didn't see a whole lot of it because remember, other
There
than
was no
Superman, you didn't have a whole bunch of
Because
comic
we're all
book
told
movies out
today
there,
that everybody
nobody
freaked out and
noticed
raved.
for the most part until it came out and everybody loved their performance. In fact, I would say, I mean, we like to talk about how the X-Men movies is what really kicked off the modern day comic book movies, and true. But that Michael Keaton Batman movie is what really set the stage to allow it to happen.
Except for there's
I-
a 15-year gap between X-Men and Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah, but I mean, Michael Keaton Batman kind of almost
Yeah, but
brought
Maji, when
comic
it comes
book
to
material
Superman and Batman,
more into
they
the
fucking caught on to the
zeitgeist.
main public.
Yeah,
It's something to
exactly.
keep
It
in
caught
mind.
the cultural zeitgeist.
For the most part, in the late 20th century, most successful superhero films were DC characters. I can't recall any successful Marvel movie in the 20th century. Spider-Man
Howard
was
the
an
Duck.
archetype. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about
Well,
that.
Spider-Man came out before 20th century was 21st, or came out after. I mean, sorry.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is that it languished in developmental hell for like 20 plus years.
Yeah, the closest thing was the Hulk, and even then, those were failures. Both Hulk.
That was
movies.
2003. That was after. Well, unless you count that.
Unless you count the TV movies.
We're
Yeah,
not talking
that's
about
what I was counting was the TV.
With Hulk,
Fair
Hulk and Thor, even back then in the 70s on TV, there was
were
Hulk
bad.
and Thor.
Police Squad. Oh my gosh, Hightower.
Yes. No, that's Hightower's from Police Academy.
Oh,
Police,
that's right. That's
Police Squad is the TV series that the Naked Gun movie is based on. It's pretty much so. It's all the same actors. They did a whole sitcom and then they got back together and did the Naked Gun movie.
right. Back when OJ was still an actor.
Yep.
Hey,
I remember him trying to walk through the door in the flashback to the 70s. He had an afro like this, and he kept trying to walk through the door, and his head couldn't get through. He's like, "What's up?"
Just remember, the critics were retarded as well back then.
What, Siskel and Ebert? I
No,
think they
the
were all the critics.
movie
Was Siskel and Ebert.
Just imagine how retarded the critics back then who couldn't understand that Starship Troopers was just what is it called?
A movie?
No,
Satire.
satire. Yeah, I'm blanking on the word.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a
moving
satire on
pictures.
propaganda, war propaganda.
Was it PETA that got pissed off at that? Because they were stepping on insects and they're like, "You're killing the bugs." Seriously, there's
Oh my
some group got all pissy and started like doing some protests. I mean, obviously not to the anywhere near the level we see this stuff happen today.
Hold
But
on.
I was just
hold
surprised.
the article up. I have found stuff as long as my computer loads.
Let's see.
I laughed that broke the fucking
It's just
screen.
not loading. It's just not loading.
It
It
just
says something
blames
about
it
a
on the
cow scene, and then I won't. Ah!
Uh-oh, he died. Someone pick up the conversation. Otter,
Huh?
go for it.
Well,
Tell us all about
The message.
well, on that note, last night I also watched True Lies for the first time. I was intrigued on checking that one out after watching Drinker's video about it.
Hold up, Otter. Hold up. There's something about True Lies, like, I don't know, Jewish space lasers or something.
Are you talking the 90s one?
that the
or
one with
the
Arnold?
Space laser.
That's it.
Continue.
Yeah, I enjoyed it though. That
It's the other
was
James Cameron film.
Yeah, it was.
It's great. It's great, by the way.
It was one of the James Cameron films I wasn't even really aware of until fairly recently. I'm glad I checked it out though. It's really
Is
funny.
it the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger or the other one?
Yeah, it has Schwarzenegger and
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis
Okay.
And
so-
Eliza Dushku.
and Bill Paxton. A couple of scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the car salesman and thinks he's like a double agent or something. He thinks he's hot shit.
It was funny seeing him piss himself like twice in the movie.
All right. Okay. Finally. I tried to click that link, and
It's just
timed out.
Yeah, it just keeps going. I don't know. Something about a cowl scene in Starship Troopers. I don't know if it has PETA involved, but something that was censored. I don't remember a cowl scene.
Oh yeah, there is a cow scene, but it is a censored sequence though. It like just
Oh,
shows a
yeah.
cow get attacked by a arachnid. I mean, you're talking about two movies I've seen way too much of: Starship Troopers and Major Payne. Both I must have watched close to at least 30 times each. I know them both inside out.
The book and the movie are interesting to compare, really. One's just
What's going on,
heavily
Just skunks.
one is heavily ideologically driven, like military sci-fi, whereas the other is just a complete satire of that.
Movies, video games, good storylines. Let's talk about those. Max Payne 3, good storyline. Anybody play that? That's great.
No.
You should. You
I
should.
can't
So
say I
actually,
have.
Never
it's
seen it.
actually one of Max Payne 3 is actually an interesting game because I played it a million times and yet I probably watched it more so than played it because it tries like it's one of the first cinematic style kind of games, but still gives you a fair amount of control compared to today's cinematic games like Uncharted, which almost like you feel like you just put down the controller for a good 15 minutes while playing an Uncharted game.
Well, unfortunately, games are kind of losing their touch because they've been taken over by the weirdo media.
Nintendo.
No, so like example, I was playing a game and I'm like, watch this be the bad guy. Why? He's the only white guy in the storyline. And guess
Uh-huh.
what?
Yeah, because they're racist.
That guy.
No, I'm sorry. People list because we don't believe in
People
race.
is-
They don't like the whites.
Does that mean it's considered prejudice to say something like whites play the best villains? Because
Well,
they,
no,
want,
it is-
they want whites to always be the villains, but if you say that and say they're better at something than anyone else, oh no.
Well, they had a
Brits
really
make the best
flamboyant guy, and then they had the guy that was like the street guy, and I'm like, I bet he's the villain. Dun dun dun. Guess what? Surprise, surprise.
And he treats the flamboyant guy mean.
That's
I,
what it's getting though.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
I've heard I can't remember who some actors have said they want to play a villain so bad, but they can't because they're not white.
yeah. I know Charlize Theron said that she gets pissed off whenever she sees like one of the first things on the script she gets handed is like strong woman. Like, okay, so I know what this is. It's like, yeah, they have no creativity. They play by a handwritten book. And it's like I always go to the latest Scream movie as my example. I never seen it. The moment I heard it was getting made, I guessed who the killer was, and I was right because you have to play by their handbook, and the only killer can be because in the Scream movies, anybody doesn't know, there are 3 survivors through all of them, 2 women and 1 guy. Guess who was the killer? The 1 guy. So yeah, that's how terrible they are. I could literally guess the killer.
It didn't happen to be the same guy that was quoting the rules of horror movies through the whole trilogy, was it?
No, he died in
he
the
did die?
first movie. He died in the first movie.
No,
The
because
second movie. He died in the second movie.
yeah, I was gonna say I know he was at least in the second movie because he was in the preview saying the
He's
rules
one of my
for
favorite
sequels, you know.
Yeah. He was one of my favorite deaths, to be honest, because you don't see it coming. And then when he gets it, it's really brutal. You're like, oh shit, I like that character. Bye, Jamie Kennedy. You're dead now. That's who played him. Now look at the good news. At least we're still getting Tremor movies.
Yeah, if Dune
Somebody
flops,
say Tremors?
they're gonna take Kevin Bacon and send him up to that planet and say, fix that shit for him, will you?
They lost me after 1. I don't think they should have ever done a 2.
I like
Now
part
they're
2.
on 8, aren't they?
Yeah.
They
Tremors
lost me
2 is
on
the best direct-to-video movie ever made.
I don't know why,
They
Carmen,
lost
but
me
I
on
thought you were
part
talking about Dune there
5.
for a second.
Oh gosh, imagine freaking Kevin Bacon and Dune.
That would be amazing.
That's what I was saying. Let's
Let's
send him up there because he knows how to deal with this crap.
He
embody the
does.
embody the character of Val from Tremors with that very eccentric
The movie
yeah.
that Kevin Bacon loathed for 25 years and now
Yeah.
adores.
And also send him along with that redheaded lady with all the guns.
Reba McEntire.
Was that Reba
There you go.
McEntire?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
Reba
Reba,
McEntire.
baby.
Yeah.
And oh god, I can't remember the guy's name, but he played on was it the
Michael
most-
Gross.
Family Ties.
Michael Gross. Family Ties,
Yeah,
yeah.
he plays
Yeah.
Bert Gummer.
He's still playing him. That's his life now. It's his job just to be in freaking Tremor movie.
No, he's done after the 7th one, supposedly.
What
Really?
should I pick? Rate of fire or more penetration?
Yeah. Well, anyway, on Planet Dune there, if you got problems with huge giant space worms, then get some rednecks from Arizona. They'll fix it for you, no problem.
He's just going to be looking at all the hippies drinking the magic water mixed up with like dead worms and be like, what the fuck?
Or you could use a laser.
Ooh.
But
Too
no,
bad
that's
I'm not on the
Tremors-
right screen for that to come up with a quicker,
Jewish
but
space lasers.
there it is.
Tremors 2 is fantastic. It got
I
some
do
of the
like it.
best lines of the franchise. It is Bert on
Yeah.
steroids. Like, if you like Bert in the first film, watch out. The firepower he has to him in the second film, and he has probably his best line in the whole franchise. He pulls in, trucks completely
I'm
torn
all
up.
out of ammo.
I am
That's never happened
completely
before.
out of ammo. Or at the end, it's kind of spoilers. Let's just say they set off a very big explosion and everybody hunkers down and Bert just keeps running past them. No, it's going to be big. We got to get farther.
Yeah, keep going. That is a good one. Yeah, yeah.
So what do you
third
think would
one's
happen if the
bad.
Starship Troopers landed on Dune?
Oh.
Well, what's the meme? No matter what universe you're in, just add and then what was it? Damn it! Then the Empire of Man shows up from 40K.
Man.
We're here to colonize you.
It's like, oh, crap.
Imagine the Imperium of Man from 40K going against the Imperium in Dune.
40K would probably win, I'd imagine.
Probably.
But it would be a very long fight. A very, very long fight.
The Reapers will probably have a good chance against the Imperial Man.
Those guys are hard to beat, man. They're really just like, I think they're just like the epitome of power in fiction to set is the 40K universe. The OP universe, as I like calling it.
With that, and they can also start indoctrinating the fucking Space Marines and turn them against them.
Exactly. There's that.
Until the X parasite infect them and spread everywhere. For mixing sci-fi universes.
But then
Why
all
not?
they gotta do is drop some planet killers to end everything, which is essentially the exact same thing. It's a giant parasitic disease that's can wipe out an entire planet.
I am so out of my element here.
Yeah,
Jersey says,
Transformers, Megatron, Cybertron.
Jersey says in
Whoa.
Dune they need their giant worms for good drugs. Well, here on Earth, all we need is some good potting soil.
ATST, ATST.
Oh, you want me and my friend Josh? We were talking over the weekend about coming.
Oh.
I asked him to come up. What would your favorite? What would you think is a good premise for a Star Wars versus Star Trek scenario? And he's sitting there going on and trying to figure out. I can't remember where the conversation got, how it got to this point. I said, but isn't the Death Star's big beam? Isn't that just antimatter beam? And all of a sudden, his eyes went wide, and he's like, "I got it." In the Star Wars universe, they use Kuiper. They use the Kuiper crystals.
Mhm.
However, in Star Trek, they also have Kuiper crystals, but they just call them dilithium. And he goes,
Hyper
"I just,
crystals.
yeah." And he's like, "There, I just solved the tech problems." And I think he's right. If dilithium and how did I say it wrong, Billy Bob?
Kyber crystals.
Kuiper. What was I saying?
Kuiper.
Oh, it's Kyber.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said if the Kyber crystals and dilithium crystals are the same, that solves a lot of tech problems when trying to do a fan fiction crossover story.
Well, you know what's funny is in Shalar I use 5 crystals in the temples to power up the wormhole.
Well, in my story, Crystal is a stripper. No.
In my story, Wrangler, you're basically the equivalent of Crocodile Dundee.
But hold up. But Star Trek would actually win because they have Q in the continuum.
Oh yeah, but
If he fights with them, maybe they'll have to team
Q
up.
is probably
to
the
beat
one
their
who
enemies.
arranged the whole thing
You know,
for his
I
own
mean-
entertainment, and did
Yeah,
teach
but
a
if we're-
story
we're-
here and there.
If
But
we're specifically talking about them, because why would the Jedi fight the Federation?
Yeah, so that maybe Q.
oh no, we were talking
Yeah,
Federation
yeah.
versus Empire.
Empires will lose. They can't aim. Federation can.
Yeah, well, the Federation's tech is like so far beyond,
Obi-Wan
especially with their
Kenobi disagreed.
transporters. I mean, for one, they have warp; they can go pick any direction and just go. In Star Wars, they have to sit there and calculate how to get to their other destination through subspace corridors. So, if they decide we're going to bug out, they can't catch them. So
Star Trek is
Federation
also
ships,
post scarcity.
not to mention the transporters. That's
That
a
too.
game changer for Star Wars people. And what's that about the post scarcity, Otter?
Star Trek is post scarcity, whereas in Star Wars, hunger is an actual factor. So
Yeah.
the potential for starvation is a lot more likely on the actual Empire side.
You think the Empire gives a fuck if their citizens are starving?
Well, it does give them a
To a
disadvantage.
point. They do care to a point. They do want the subjects to be somewhat loyal.
They need
Somewhat.
to
No,
keep
but it
them in
does look
fighting
like
shape.
Just enough to keep them going along with it, not to the point where they're going to say, screw you, I quit.
the thing is they also seem to produce ships at way quicker rate than Star Trek can.
Yeah. Because they are pretty much a war machine. So
There was
And I mean,
actually, I think it was the original Star Wars, the Old Republic game, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game, where the big bad Empire. In that
hold
one,
up, hold up.
only in the
James,
middle. Hey, fuck you! I'll read this out loud. Tremors 2 is surprisingly great. Tremors 3 is mid. I really enjoyed the Western spin with Tremors 4, but if you don't like the aesthetic, you'll be bored. And you don't need to watch any Tremors movie past that. Read out.
yeah, Otter doesn't want to be spoiled on KOTOR, so be careful.
Well, okay. Big power
I
weapon.
will be back in a
makes it-
couple minutes.
Okay, so this makes it easier then. The big powerful weapon is essentially it's actually something that I think they might have stole from the later. I mean, they didn't steal this. Was stolen from them in the later Star Wars shenanigans because they essentially had a giant weapon that sucked up the energy of a star, and with all the material along with it, it would actually just produce a brand new ship in like no time. So it was a giant 3D printer for ships.
Yep.
And that's how they ended up conquering the universe. It's just giant 3D printer.
That's what ended up giving Revan and Malik such a fucking
Yeah.
early hand. And by the way, Otter, these are like opening game spoilers.
This really is. This isn't really any major spoiler. Figure this out. Really
I know. I'm
early.
just saying.
Yeah, it's
we
no
gotta
big deal.
Yeah.
That's like opening game where they're like, oh yeah, so the whole conflict in KOTOR is a while back.
The Jedi Civil War.
Well, before the Jedi Civil War, you had the Mandalorians decided they're going to go fuck up the galaxy.
This is back when the
Fuck up the
Mandalorians
Republic.
were cool.
Mm-hmm. And the Mandalorians were just fucking swathing through Republican territory and just beating the shit out of them. And the Jedi convened and were like, "Oh, we should just keep waiting and not doing anything about this." And then basically Revan and Malik were like, "Fuck you." They took a bunch of young Jedis, went and fucked up the Mandalorians to the point where the Mandalorians revere Revan because he kicked their ass so fucking hard. And then he goes off into bumfuck space, and then him and Malik come back as Dark Lord.
Evil.
And they found this mega construction ship building device, that just is able to pump out fleet after fleet.
Read
And
out
that's how they
Napoleon
end up
Dynamite
starting the
was
Jedi
terrible.
Civil War.
Yeah, I
Also,
honestly
it
know
also
very little
hosted-
about Star Wars lore. I am very much a novice in that field.
It's a big universe, and you really don't have to remember much because it keeps Xing itself out every now and then.
Yeah.
You really just got to remember certain species names. That's about it. Like, you should know what a mon calamari is. That's basic.
Okay.
Calamari.
Calamari is like
That's
a
good with tartar
appetizer.
sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's delicious.
I know, but that's what they're called in the movies, and they're fish people.
Hang on, I have to
Crackle.
go check. I have to go check my smoke detector. Keep hearing it beep on me.
Oh, that was me the other night. Not fun.
Yeah, I keep telling Maji to change them batteries.
It's not me.
That's an interesting one. You know, in my universe, I only have one of you guys in there, and that's Kikomon, and he's slightly inspired by Raul Julia's performance of M. Bison in the Street Fighter.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's a businessman with delusions of grandeur.
As goofy as that take on Bison was, it was just fun to watch Raul Julia do that.
Oh yeah, very memorable.
I hated that movie, but I'll watch it again and again just because.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's so
it was-
bad, it's great.
I'm going to get in my boat, go down the river, and kick Bison's ass so hard. It's like with that Van Damme accent. It's like,
The next Bison wannabe is going to feel it.
yep.
Oh yeah.
How are
yeah,
you? I'm half dead. And Bison, all dead.
Now let's get a Major Pain versus M. Bison matchup.
Oh, that'll be funny.
No. What we got to do, we'll set up the cameras first. We'll set up some cameras, then hold up a mirror and say Candyman 3 times. When he shows up, you look him dead in the eyes and say Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Sit back, grab some popcorn, watch the show.
Oh my God! Weren't they still working on a second Beetlejuice?
I'm sure as long as somebody's still alive.
Yeah, and you know who's not going to be in it? I mean, not that he was in the first one, but apparently Johnny Depp was offered to be in it, and he said no because he's done with the studios. He's sick of their crap, Warner Brothers, how they mistreated him. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Well, Wrangler, I'm going to tell you who's not going to be in it. The
Michael
father.
Keaton.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
The actual chicks who's supposed to be her actual father in the movie.
We
For
don't need to
obvious
talk about
reasons.
that.
I'm trying to remember, who was it?
He's the redheaded dude. He also plays in a.
Oh,
bunch
was
of-
he the
And-
principal from Ferris Bueller?
Yep.
Yeah.
Played Principal
Oh,
Rooney?
yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Was he?
Why is he not?
There's.
He plays the scientist, the main bad guy.
we can't
scientist
talk
in
about
Howard,
on
but
the YouTube.
Oh, did he get touchy with something?
He was trying to get some miners to send him pictures of their.
Oh, geez.
Oh no.
Got caught doing it in like the early.
How about the
2000s.
mother? Is she still around? Because she was hot back. in the
Regina
day.
Davis? Oh,
I
no.
think she's still alive.
No, that's not
No,
Gina
that
Davis,
wasn't
it's
Gina
somebody
Davis.
else.
It was,
Yeah.
I thought in the movie it was Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin.
It was-
No,
yeah,
that's the
They're the ghost couple. Yeah.
The ghost couple.
Yeah, we're talking about the ones that are supposed to be her actual, or that's supposed to be her stepmom in the
It's been a
movie.
while since I watched
Yeah,
the
she was the one who played the mother on
In Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Yeah, we're talking about the Dietz family, not the Maitlands.
Kevin.
Yeah, the Home Alone. She
Uh,
plays the mother
Catherine
in Home
O'Hara.
Alone.
Catherine O'Hara.
How about the mother
Kevin
from
O'Hara.
Malcolm in the Middle?
Ooh,
No, I
Throw that
remember Malcolm
personality in the
Middle.
mix.
I remember Malcolm in the Middle. Barely watched it.
I seen that shit
Oh, no.
ton of Malcolm in the Middle.
Herman. The greatest clips because I watched it as a kid and everything is when they take Breaking Bad and they like splice the scenes in between him, where he's playing as the
As
what's his
Hal.
name? Hal and fucking
The
Malcolm in the
emotional,
middle.
the emotional dad. Yeah.
Yeah. And they splice it with Breaking Bad with Walter White.
Yeah, I didn't see that going for his career, but hey, he did it. And then he was in big movies until none of the movies he made were any good. No, he's not.
Well, he got wasted in the Godzilla 2014. You killed him
He
off.
got
Like,
wasted in a lot of stuff. Yeah, they did. They did. Everyone was expecting him to be the main character. It was like, damn.
they killed him. I think like like less than an hour into the movie, he was dead.
Yeah, yeah.
What was that one movie? There was like during the previews, it was, I think it was Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal, and Steven Seagal was all over. Like he looked like he was going to be a main character, but he got killed in the first 10 minutes or something.
Executive decision.
Executive decision, which wasn't a bad film. I liked Executive.
No, it wasn't.
Decision.
That was just that it did feel like a bit of a bait and switch when you thought it was
Yeah.
going to be these two doing the buddy cop thing, and one of them gets killed right away at the beginning. I'm like, oh, come on.
Wrangler, do you not remember Deadpool 2?
I expected it from Deadpool 2.
Hold up, they were doing the X-Force, and I remember watching the marketing. I was like, okay, so we're gonna do like a whole fucking team up, some shit.
X-Force.
All right.
And
And immediately when we got to the scene, and they kept fucking dying right off the bat, and I was like, oh shit, I kind of got baited on that commercials and shit.
I was actually expecting a lot of that. I didn't expect them all to go down right away, but I didn't expect them to last long at all.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't expect any of them to fucking die. And then immediately,
the death that was the biggest surprise in that movie was Peter.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you remember that one time Harrison Ford played the president and his plane got hijacked? And
Air Force One. Yeah, that was such a good movie.
Yeah, man. That's
the
old
sequel was
school.
just called Air Force 1, 2.
And then when he attacked the terrorist, he said, "Where's Sean Miller?"
And then Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, the sequel would be called.
He's like, "Why didn't you put the bunny back in the box?"
Yeah, but the sequel will be called Air Force 2. The VT.
One of the good things I did heard about Flash, like one of the very little good things I heard, is they put Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And for people who didn't, I think would be confused why fucking Nicolas Cage shows up as Superman.
I'm confused as hell.
He wanted to play the character growing up.
No, he was supposed
to be. Came close to almost doing it too.
Yeah, Maji, they were originally like written the
screen the American way.
Maji, you can go find a picture of him on the set in the Superman outfit when he was supposed to play as Superman. We missed out on that. If DC was smart, they would just do a spin-off Nicolas Cage Superman movie. Fuck it.
And I would watch it.
Yeah. See, this is what you do. You make
have them act like don't have them act like Superman, just have them act like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, just Nicolas Cage.
This is how they make their money, right? And how they should have made their money off of Morbid Time is you don't release a movie. You release a 20-minute short on YouTube and just rake in the cash.
My name is Kal-El, and I'm from Krypton. It's very cool.
I'm from Kansas. The best thing they should do is write a whole new Kryptonian character specifically for Nicolas Cage based on his personality and just let him show up and play it. Just that personality with all the Kryptonian powers, and he's a completely new character.
And it's a versus movie where he's fighting a Ghost Rider and he also plays Ghost Rider.
I want Nicolas Cage as Superman fighting Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider while Nicolas Cage narrates and Nicolas Cage produces.
Yeah, and the movie's been called
and the winner takes on Jim Carrey as the Mask.
Yeah.
No.
Can we
It's
just
gonna be
get
Marvel versus
Nicolas
DC?
Cage in a bear costume again? I absolutely love that.
On a bike. What movie was that? It was The Wicker Man.
Not
Yeah,
the
it was The
bee.
Wicker
Oh yeah, that.
They're in my eyes.
I remember when I was
We're gonna
young.
get burned.
I remember
How did it
seeing
get
that
burned?
trailer on television when it was coming out. I thought that actually looks kind of good. I never did see it because I was too young, but I thought, oh, that's probably good.
Oh,
and then later
it's
on, I
good
found out it
now.
was the
It's
And then now it's
aged
a meme
well.
cultural icon.
Did you ever watch The Rock?
Yes,
Well, that's legit great.
Welcome to the Rock.
that was supposed to be like. That was almost, if not inspired by James Bond, was supposed to be like a pseudo James Bond adventure, like his last go.
They almost made it like a spiritual successor to it.
Mhm.
Like they tried to make you think this might be the James Bond character.
Right? I think that was the perfect way to go. And believe it
Yeah.
or not, do you remember the actress who played the love interest for Nicolas Cage on that one? Um, I was I had a gigantic crush on that actress because she was on a show that came on later on called Las Vegas, and it aired for like 5 seasons. And I was like, oh man,
Okay.
she's
Yep.
so hot. You know, I'd watch her all the damn time. And then, of course, the universe would do this. Her cousin starts dating my cousin, and now they're cousins.
How
Yeah.
does
That's
that even
hilarious.
happen?
Yeah. Well,
I
well,
was like, you
since you're
can't do
telling
that. You
such
gotta
good
break this
stories,
off.
since you're telling such good stories, why don't you tell us what you got going on with World Without End?
Right now it is just writing, buckling down on the writing. I was doing a kind of like a mystical detective story, but it started
Ooh.
unfolding into more, so I had to put it on the back end to really do justice to it. So I'm like in between stories, as always, and I'm honestly probably got close to 12 stories in my head, and I'm just keep flushing them out one after the other. Like I just had a bunch of Taco Bell or something.
Well, I finished up reading Nine Tree Timothy yesterday.
Nice. I hope you'd enjoy it.
Are we going to be seeing him again? I hope.
I hope so. I definitely you're gonna see him at least once more, but I did set it up to be kind of a serial, which all of my characters are slightly based off of old school serial characters. So each of them has the potential to run as their own serial.
Cool. Now,
Indeed.
all the stories there, are they happening that we're reading there? Are they all kind of happening about the same time, just all around the world?
I would say so, at least within the same 5 year period. One of them's a bit older, which would be Vampire Ballistic, but on year 2, I am planning on getting a number of these characters together to and go on a serial romp, or just like a
Cool.
just a group of characters, and then they each go through a little adventure together. But at the same time, all my stories are also connected, as in they're leading to a big world event that a lot of the characters are going to play in, and some aspects of each story are going to be brought in. But you don't have to read the stories to kind of see the event unfold. But I'm still working on how to appropriately tie that in, because ultimately I'm building a world. I want it to be living, breathing, and evolving as it goes. And each of these stories is helping it get there in its own right. So I'm excited, and I just hope I don't screw up too hard along the way.
Yeah. Well, so far I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Thank you.
I can tell you're running a little ragged though. I mean, I know you say you have to do your own editing because cranking
Yeah.
out a story a month, doing your own editing. So I mean, I obviously gonna find a few clerical errors here and there.
Yeah.
But other than that, and which is understandable, this place looks awesome, dude. I want to know more about it. I want to see more of how the different cultures interact, and I'm hoping we're going to see a little more happening out in the abyss too, because there's entire civilizations out there as well.
Yes, actually, you're gonna get a little tidbits of the abyss coming up, because I am writing a story that is it's like a story that takes place in a very dark location but with a very bright character, and that one's going to be fun to write. That's going to be the next story up to write next month. So I'm just focusing on this story, fleshing it out, and I switch stories in the middle, and I'm rewriting this new story from the beginning, but it's an idea I had for a while, and it's a much more tamed idea. So it's something that I can definitely just jog out in a good 10 days. And I do want to keep them small and together, because I don't want to spend too much time in the editing process. That's where most of the mistakes come through, is when the stories get too long and I don't have enough time to pay attention to them. Yeah, but I'm slowly figuring it out. I tried working with an editor once, and it was expensive, and I didn't find the
Yeah.
experience all that edifying, to be honest. It didn't feel like they gave me enough for the amount of cash. But
Yeah, see,
journey.
that's where I'm kind of lucky doing novels rather than the the sprawling world that you're doing, because
Mhm.
I can have like everything ready to go and go to the editor, and there you go. You have short story after short story after short story, and in piecemeal, I would imagine that would rack up a much bigger bill than just having a novel edited.
Well, definitely, definitely cheaper at the smaller ends where you get to, because you say, oh, it's just like a 6,000 word short story. You can get yourself a decent,
Yeah,
decent
but when you
editor on the
do,
cheaper end, but
a
every month,
series of them, that adds up.
yeah, exactly. Just having to shill it out every month is the difficult part. Things like that. Yeah, but it's a great adventure. I believe I've been growing a lot as a writer. Hopefully the readers are happy enough, and I'm improving as I go, and getting a good kind of writing flow down, and um, just working out all the issues as best I can to get to a near perfect release every single month.
All right.
One method I've found that's been working for me a lot, especially with touching up on my novel, is beta readers. Beta readers, especially having about two or three, they
Hmm.
will pick out little bits and pieces that you never even thought of before. Little
Yeah.
plot holes that need fixing, or just prose that
Yes.
doesn't quite sound right.
And I always prefer to have those pointed out to me before I publish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
ask
I'm
Billy Bob Sack about athletic breasts, for one.
Yeah.
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 So
Also, I
any of you
started
want to
playing the
be
Bronze
one of
Edition one.
If any of you want to beta read my upcoming story, I can let you know as soon as it's done and shoot it towards you as soon as I believe it's in a decent area to be read.
Cool. Now Stormcrow has a question. We'll get to that, and then after this, we'll probably start the wrap up. See, we got gentlemen. Serious question for you all. I just got Google Docs, and I have no idea how to format the book or how to make it look professional. Any recommendations for videos or suggestions? Well, I'll start off by saying I use Microsoft Word instead of Google Docs. I don't know how much different it would be. But as far as the formatting goes, I don't mess with that. My editor did that. So, because especially if you're going to have it done in ebook, when I got it back in ebook format and I opened it up, it looked like the falling screen from the Matrix. It was all a bunch of garbled symbols. But you load it onto Amazon, and in their ebooks thing, it came up right. So I guess it worked. So I think, I mean, unless you know how to handle the software, that the format might be best handled by an editor.
Yeah, it
Um,
depends. You got money or you got time to learn.
Basically, that if you got time to learn, I would suggest. I know Herman mentioned this once before. InDesign, it's a pretty easy and versatile program, and it's extremely powerful. Though there is a monthly cost to it. Unfortunately, back in the day, Adobe used to sell their programs where you could just buy them once, and that was it. Unfortunately, now it is monthly subscription.
Yeah, now you got to buy services instead.
Yes, but I
It's
do.
kind of
didn't
like
realize
that with
they
the word processors too. They use the Microsoft Word used to just be a simple word processor. Now it's I have to be hooked up to the internet to buy it, and if I want to use it offline, I have to buy a paid version that you kind of have to repay for once a year or something like that. And like,
Yeah,
that's
No,
yeah.
me.
well,
screw that.
you don't have to. You can actually buy the CD and just work off the CD. It will try to register across the internet, but the only reason why I picked up was it 365 or 356 or I don't know how it's called.
365. That's what I got as well.
Yeah, is because it allows me to work on both my PC and my tablet. So it has an Android, and I can connect
And your
the two.
phone if you want to as
Yeah,
well.
and I can connect the two via OneDrive. And so when I go and I write new content, which I always do away from home usually, I can just put it in OneDrive and have all of my stuff in OneDrive. So, but as far as design goes, um, there's I don't necessarily think you would want to use Google Docs. I would use there's a couple of programs out there. I think Scrivener does formatting.
And that's a pretty
Attic,
good program in general.
yeah, Atticus I think uses formatting, although you do have to pay for it. Or do what I do and hire a formatter. because there's a whole, the thing is that with formatting, there's formatting of the document and the cover design go hand in hand, because you can get a cover for your paperback. Okay, this is assuming you're gonna print a paperback. If you get a cover for your paperback, whoever designs your paperback cover, they do it in 2 steps. The first is they give you the cover for the ebook, and the cover for the ebook and the cover for the paperback are the same, but you still have to do the back cover and you still have to do the spine, and the spine is dependent upon how many pages you have in your book, and so you need to then go get your book formatted, and then come back and be able to say, well, it's this many pages, and you round up to the next one, and then they calculate the spine using a calculation, and then they finish the book cover. So it's like a 2 or 3 step process from getting the cover, getting the thing formatted, and then getting the rest of your book already done. So,
and then you hope that the printer uses the exact same measurements.
exactly.
Yeah, right.
Although, go ahead.
I ran into a bit of a hiccup. I was getting my book edited, and while I was getting edited, I figured I'd be time efficient, and hire the cover artist. So it was getting edited, and the cover was getting made at the same time. I told the guy how many pages it was. Unfortunately, that number changed after the format because this is my first time doing it, and I didn't realize the obvious yet.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and have it resized a bunch of times to try and get it to finally lined up with first Amazon KDP, and then afterwards Ingram Spark.
Exactly. And then the other thing is also, you need to figure out your trim size, and your trim size will also determine what your bleed and your margins are going to be as
Mhm.
well.
How about you explain what trim size is?
Trim
It's
size.
basically what.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, sir. I was
No,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
it's basically what the printer is gonna cut off. That's an easy way of putting it.
Well, I mean, trim size is like if you want to have a book. If my books are all 5x8. Wow, that shocked Wrangler. Anyways, the trim, all of my books are 5x8, so that's your trim size, and then your bleed and your margin goes along with that, and how big your page is, how much you need to have in a margin for top, bottom, and the sides, and then that bleed, or not that bleed. I forget what it is. I think it's called bleed, but it's that
It's
area.
bleed.
Yeah, it's that area where it goes to the binding, and then you have to this is the reason why I freaking
Yeah.
hire somebody.
Yeah, it's really meticulous. It's very team oriented, because you have to, you have you have to get the right measurements right, and the only way you're gonna get your measurements is through the book editing or the book formatting, and then you give your measurements to your cover artist, and then you
Yep.
still will have to worry about the printer at times.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, still gonna
Yeah.
probably need a resize or two just for
Yeah.
fine tuning, pretty much.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
I also
Long story short, yeah, don't get the cover artist, or don't commission the cover until after you get the format with the right number of pages. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches.
okay, but I do know people who do it with Word, because a lot of these places require that you upload a PDF for your formatted book. There are some I don't think Ingram does this, but I think Drafted Digital does. If you are submitting your book for your or if you're submitting the document for your ebook, they have a utility that actually formats it for you, but you're going to have
Oh,
to
wow.
go in there and tweak it.
What I would
So
suggest to Stormcrow here is at least find out what your your book size is. What your basic format is, how tall you want it, how wide you want it, your width and height, and give that to your cover artist. And a good way to find that out is honestly probably just to find out if you want it to be print. Find out which where you want it to be printed from and what sizes they support, and then go off of that.
All right. Anyway, I think it's time for us to wrap it up. Billy Bob, you want to take us out tonight?
Kapla, kapla, kapla.
And he summed it up.
Now it's your turn, Herman.
buy my book, and I am the pie, biatch.
EVS is going to eat the fuck out of you.
That I'm going to change my thing. That's kind of gross.
James, follow that up.
Okay, buy his book. He's terrible at marketing it. Yeah, let me do that for you. I'll do it right off cup. Follow the wizard Odo as he goes on a grand adventure placed upon him by his dear master, whom he loves and trusts. And now he must go forth to an unkind and unforgiving world that may very well test him in every single way possible before he makes it to his destination, which he may not alive. Check out the book, The Wizard's Stone. It's worth a read. And it's got an excellent audio version with one of the most spectacular voices to ever read you that story. You enjoy it. And while you're at it, subscribe to theworldwithoutendlore.com or subscribe to worldwithoutendlore.substack.com for one free short story in PDF format every single month. Thank you, sirs. And read out. Your turn.
So, by the Wizard's Stone, it's truly it's an example of somehow a hedge, a bush could write a book. So you should go buy the Wizard's Stone, and you should also buy the Reverend of the Tomb. Go buy them.
He just called you a bush.
Yeah, I'm gonna get eaten anyways. What guy? No.
No, he's a hedge. That's a bush
American
with a flat top.
time.
A hedge that's also a pie. Somehow has arms and wrote these. So it is astounding. It's great too.
Sounds like an Oz.
Buy the
character.
books.
Maji.
Hi.
You know, you guys are supposed to shill your own stuff. You know this, right?
Oh, you suck so much at shilling your own.
That's
it's just
true.
like, ugh.
That's true. I suck. Go ahead, Maji.
Check out IronAge.media. Richard's got some really cool prompts this month. On top of, he's getting ready to launch book 2 soon, so feel free, check it out. Who knows, you might be in the next magazine.
The Lord Otter, you're up.
Buy Herman's book, and
And
While you're
subscribe
at
to
it-
my Substack.
while you're at it, go ahead and check out my Substack. That's Downstream Pulp, where I do reviews, and I'm hoping to get back into short stories here very soon. Also, keep an eye out for my book, which is just a couple months on the way. Hoping to get that out soon, but that's all from me.
All right, I guess that brings it to me. Everybody, you should go check out and subscribe to worldwithoutend.lore.com, where you will see stories about buying Herman's book, a book about a downstream press, where they cover Civil War history on an Iron Age Knights type of show.
I think you covered it all, right?
I hope so, because I'm exhausted.
What
My
about
next-
Billy?
I think
What
my
did
next
I leave out? What did I leave out?
Billy.
the magic pie.
Haley Starr, Bad Kitty. That's what I left out. Haley Starr, Bad Kitty. Go check that out. It is a good all ages family read. It's a lot of fun, a lot of adventure.
Uh-huh.
And
Where's the
yeah, we're-
kapla? You need to end up the kapla.
Oh,
You
wait,
wanna
yeah,
hit all
kapla!
buttons. There we go.
Kapla.
If Skunks
Alright.
is still here, guys, he actually has a game out right now. A little,
Really?
yeah, it's a little dog chasing a ball, but I was hoping to get the website from him.
It's Royce's favorite game.
Better than Goat Simulator 2?
Definitely better than Goat Simulator 2.
Far more functional.
We need a Nick Cage Kapla. Kapla.
Yes, Skunk has officially hit the Iron Age gaming.
Skunks, if you can, get me the link so we could have a good look at that on the show next week. That'd be awesome.
Sorry, I remembered.
Okay, let's see. It says, oh, it's a little mini game about one of my OCs.
So, it's still a game.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with this, let's check it out. We might want to.
Yeah, we'll check it out next week.
Yeah. Send it on a message in the Gilded, and we'll get to it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Outro.
Yeah, I know. I was ready to go. Had it lined up with the music, and then Maji said something cool and messed up my timing.
My bad.
Fuck you, Maji.
I'll go back to my corner.
All right. Well, from my corner, I would say if you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like. And if you didn't, I appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time. And God bless.
Bye.
Kapla!
Kapla.
Buy Herman's book.
All two of
I'm the
them.
only fans.
Ram!
Ram's here?
Yeah, he told Billy Bob to quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Ram. I'll call your ass right now and tell you shut the fuck up.
Hi, Ram. Bye, Ram.
There we go. You know what? I think that's the perfect thing to just end it on. We'll just leave that up until the end.